Land acknowledgement is a formal statement expressing recognition of and respect for the traditional indigenous peoples and their historical and ongoing relationship to the land. It is a common practice among indigenous communities around the world, but is gaining recognition in non-indigenous contexts as well. The practice of land acknowledgement is an important way to recognize the traditional stewards of the land, as well as to recognize the ongoing impacts of colonization. The practice of land acknowledgement has its roots in indigenous oral tradition. In these traditions, people would come together to recognize the land and the people who had been living on it for generations. This was done in order to show respect and to make sure that the land was respected and taken care of. This practice has been passed down through the generations and is now being adopted in non-indigenous contexts as well. Land acknowledgement is an important way to recognize the traditional stewards of the land, as well as to recognize the ongoing impacts of colonization. It is also a way to acknowledge the history of indigenous peoples and to recognize the ongoing struggles they face and the work they do to preserve their culture and language. It is an important reminder that indigenous peoples are still here and that their presence and contributions are still felt today. Land acknowledgement can also be a way to create meaningful dialogue and to build relationships between indigenous and non-indigenous communities. By recognizing the traditional stewards of the land, it shows respect and establishes a foundation of understanding and mutual respect. This can open up conversations about the history of the land and the current issues that indigenous peoples are facing. It can also open up a dialogue about how to work together to ensure the land is respected and taken care of for future generations. Overall, land acknowledgement is an important way to recognize the traditional stewards of the land, as well as to recognize the ongoing impacts of colonization. It is also a way to create meaningful dialogue and to build relationships between indigenous and non-indigenous communities. By making land acknowledgement a regular practice, it can help to create a more inclusive and respectful environment for all.